Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451, based on the excerpts you shared with us.
Right. We're looking at a world where firemen don't put out fires, they start them.
Exactly. And books are basically illegal. Our goal here is to really unpack Guy Montag's first few encounters with someone, Clarisse, who starts challenging everything he believes. And also, we need to look at the unease simmering just beneath the surface of his everyday life.
It feels like the start of something big, doesn't it? That moment, everything shifts.
Absolutely, like the first domino falling.
Okay, so let's set the scene. Montag's walking home, just finished his shift. But even before he actually meets Clarisse, Bradbury creates this weird atmosphere, right?
Yeah, it's really noticeable. The air feels charged.
And there's maybe a faint perfume, a slight change in temperature. It's subtle, but it makes you feel like something's off.
Definitely. It's brilliant setup. It puts you right there with Montag, feeling that little bit of unease before you even know why. It sort of hints that the normal world he lives in isn't quite solid.
Like maybe he subconsciously senses it already.
Could be. That faint scent, the air changing. Maybe it's like a whisper of the things that have been stamped out in their society. Things like real feeling, real thought. Makes you wonder what's going on under the surface for him.
And then, bam, around the corner, there she is, Clarisse McClellan.
And the description is so striking. Slender, this milk-white face, but full of like a gentle hunger and this relentless curiosity.
Her eyes are taking everything in, and even her dress is described as white and whispering. But the bit that got me was how she moves fixed to a sliding walk. What's that about?
That sliding walk, it's like she's gliding almost. It immediately makes her different from everyone else, doesn't it? In a world we imagine is probably loud and rushed, with those jet cars speeding past.
Yeah, totally.
Someone moving like that, it's like she's deliberately choosing a different pace, a different way of being in the world. It tells you straight away she's not playing by the usual rules.
So their first actual conversation starts pretty simply. He says, "Hello."
But her reaction to his uniform, the salamander and the phoenix symbols.
Right. She notices them instantly. And then she says, "You're the fireman." But it's the way she says it.
Yeah, he picks up on it. How oddly you say that.
And she says she'd know it even with her eyes closed. It's like she's seeing past the uniform somehow. Is she challenging him right from the get-go?
Oh, absolutely. Without even trying, maybe. Her intuition just cuts through the official identity, the symbols of fire and rebirth.
The whole fireman persona.
Exactly. She seems to sense something else underneath. Her knowing it, with her eyes shut, suggests this deeper perception, not just looking at the surface. And that's immediately unsettling for him, you can tell.
Then there's that amazing description where he feels like she's circling him, turning him end for end, shaking him out, all without moving.
That's such a powerful image, isn't it? It perfectly captures how her simple presence and observations are just knocking him off balance.
Mentally shaking him up.
Yeah. She's not aggressive, but she's dislodging his certainties, making him feel, I don't know, seen, exposed, like she's emptying his pockets of all the stuff he just takes for granted.
He tries to push back a bit, right? Tries to own the fireman thing. Kerosene is nothing but perfume to me.
But she doesn't just accept it. She pauses, thinks, and then asks, well, does it seem like that, really?
It's a gentle question, but it makes him stop and think for maybe the first time.
That little pause she takes is so important. It shows a thoughtfulness that seems totally alien in his world, where he just reacts instantly. And then she asks to walk with him. That's the moment his routine breaks.
When the door opens just a crack.
Just a crack. To something new.
So as they're walking, she just comes out with it. 17 and I'm crazy.
Quoting her uncle, yeah. Which immediately tells you volumes about their society, right?
Yeah.
If being curious and thoughtful makes you crazy.
That's a huge red flag. She talks about loving to smell things, look at things, walk at night, watch the sunrise. Basic human stuff.
But in their world, it's weird. It's subversive almost. It shows a society that actively discourages just being present and thinking for yourself. Her craziness is just her being engaged with life.
And her uncle agrees. Anyone who steps outside the rush is seen as, well, crazy.
An outlier, definitely.
And she hits him with another one. I'm not afraid of you at all.
Which must be unusual. People are scared of firemen, she says.
But her reason is so simple. But you're just a man, after all. It kind of strips away his authority, doesn't it?
Completely. She sees the person under the uniform, and that simple act of seeing him forces him to confront that maybe his identity isn't just fireman. Maybe that's just a role he plays that makes him vulnerable.
He actually sees himself reflected in her eyes. He describes them as two miraculous bits of violet amber. Such a beautiful image.
It really is. Like she's holding a clearer, maybe truer version of him in her gaze.
And her face. Compared to fragile milk crystal with a soft and constant light, it's contrasted with the harsh electric lights, and it reminds him of a candle from his childhood during a power outage.
That contrast is everything. Her gentle, natural light versus the artificial, almost hysterical light of their technology. The candle memory brings up feelings of, safety, connection, things that seem missing from his current life. Bradbury's showing us what's been lost.
She starts asking about his job, the fact they start fights, how long he's been doing it, 10 years.
And then the big one.
Do you ever read any of the books you burn?
And his reaction is instantaneous, almost robotic.
That's against the law. No hesitation, no curiosity, just the rule.
It shows how deep the conditioning goes, doesn't it? It's not just a law, it's like a reflex for her. The system works by stamping out that very flicker of curiosity.
He even recites the slogan, what was it?
Monday burn Millay, Wednesday Whitman, Friday Faulkner, burn them to ashes, then burn the ashes.
Chilling. It makes destroying culture sound like taking out the trash. So routine, so bureaucratic.
The rhythm of it makes it sound normal, mundane even, and burning the ashes too, making sure nothing remains. Total eradication.
Then Clarisse asks, is it true? Firemen used to put out fires.
And Montag just shuts it down. No, houses have always been fireproof. But she pushes back gently, mentioning something she heard.
His reaction is weird, though. He laughs.
Yeah, unexplained laughter, which leads to her incredibly sharp observation. You laugh when I haven't been funny, and you answer right off. You never start to think what I've asked you.
Ouch. That must have stung. She's basically calling him an automaton.
It's a huge moment. It exposes his lack of real thought, his defensiveness. That laughter is probably just nerves, a way to deflect. But she sees right through it.
He calls her an odd one.
And she just said she likes watching people. Simple as that.
Yep.
Then, when he points to the 451 on his sleeve, trying to remind her who he is.
She just whispers yes and changes the subject. To jet cars, like she gets it, but doesn't want to get stuck on that label.
Yeah, maybe sensing his discomfort. Or maybe just because she finds other things more interesting than his job title, it shows her independence again.
Her talking about the fast cars, how you can't see anything, the grass, the flowers, and her uncle getting jailed for driving slowly.
40 miles per hour. Considered practically criminal.
It paints this picture of a society obsessed with speed, with surface impressions. Even the billboards are stretched out so you can read them rushing by.
Bradbury's really critiquing that loss of depth, isn't he? When life moves too fast, you lose the ability to actually see, to connect, to reflect. Everything becomes superficial. Her uncle being jailed for wanting to actually see things tells you everything about their priorities.
And then, right as they get to her house, seemingly out of nowhere,
a question.
Are you happy?
And she doesn't even wait for an answer. She's gone.
Leaving him reeling. His first reaction is denial. Right. Happy. Of all the nonsense. He tries to convince himself he is happy.
But you can feel the doubt she's planted. That question just hangs there. It's the core of their whole conversation, really. It forces him to look inward in a way he probably hasn't, ever. Her leaving quickly is almost kinder. Doesn't give him time to just spout the party line. He has to actually sit with it.
The first major crack in the mask.
Definitely.
So he goes inside, and the description of his house, wow. A cold, marbled room of a mausoleum.
What a contrast to Clarisse's warmth and life. The house feels dead. Empty.
The darkness, the silence, except for that mosquito-delicate dancing hum.
Mildred's seashell radios. Always in her ears. Constant noise to block out.
Like
silence, thoughts, each other.
It seems like it because as soon as he's in that environment, his smile just vanishes.
And he admits it to himself.
Yeah.
Finally.
He was not happy. He was not happy. He realizes the happiness was just a mask, and Clarisse somehow walked off with it.
That's a huge breakthrough, isn't it? Seeing his own performance for what it is, all triggered by that one simple question.
He sees Mildred in their bedroom, and the description is just devastating. Uncovered and cold, like a body displayed on the lid of a tomb.
Eyes fixed on the ceiling, seashells clamped on. The room feels empty even though she's there. It's pure disconnection.
He feels like he can't breathe, and he goes to his own bed, open, separate, and therefore cold. Their sleeping separately says so much.
It's the geography of isolation right there in their bedroom. No shared warmth, no intimacy, just two separate, cold spaces.
And then it gets even darker. He senses something's wrong before he sees it. He kicks something on the floor.
The little crystal bottle. Empty.
Sleeping tablets, 30 of them gone.
And Mildred's just lying there, breathing so faintly. It's presented almost clinically. Like, this isn't entirely unexpected.
Which is terrifying in itself, that this level of despair might be almost normal.
His premonition, maybe it's his subconscious screaming that something is fundamentally wrong with their lives. And this is the horrific proof.
The aftermath is maybe even more disturbing. These two guys show up, not doctors, just technicians.
Handymen, they're called, with these machines. One like a black cobra that snakes down her throat.
To pump her stomach. And another machine to replace all her blood.
And they're completely impersonal about it. Like, they're fixing a clogged drain, not saving a life. Montag's upset, telling them to stop.
But they just ignore him. Total lack of empathy. It's horrifying. Like, human life is just another mechanical problem to solve.
Their explanation seals it. Gotta clean them out both ways. They pump out the bad stuff, pump in fresh blood, like changing the oil in a car.
Take out the old and put in the new, and you're okay. That's their philosophy.
And then they're just gone. That's $50. No follow-up, no concern.
And they mention, oh, so casually, they get 9 or 10 cases like this a night. Someone else just jumped off a pill box.
It normalizes suicide attempts, makes them routine. Montag thinks about all the billions of people, all strangers. It hits him how alone everyone is, despite being crammed together.
Mildred's recovery the next day is just surface level. Pink cheeks, fresh lips, but Montag feels like it's someone else's blood there.
Yeah, the physical fix is done, but nothing's changed underneath. He wishes they could have cleaned out her mind, brought that back, cleansed.
He opens the windows, lets the night air in. It's only 2 a.m., just a few hours since he met Clarisse, since he found Mildred. Everything's changed.
And he hears a voice on the radio, maybe the Uncle Clarisse mentioned, talking about how people are like disposable tissues, just use them up and throw them away.
Another metaphor for how disconnected and disposable everything feels. People included.
Yeah.
When morning comes, Montag feels completely lost. I don't know anything anymore.
That's the sound of an awakening, isn't it? The old certainties crumbling.
Meanwhile, Mildred's back in her routine. The automatic toaster, the seashells firmly in her ears, and she remembers nothing from the night before.
Absolutely nothing. Says she feels hungry, like she has a hangover, but denies any party, denies taking the pills. Why would I do a thing like that?
It's chilling. Is it denial, or has the constant escapism literally erased her own life, her own actions from her memory?
It's hard to tell, but either way, it's deeply disturbing. She's completely walled off from reality.
Speaking of walls, she's immediately buzzing about the parlor walls. He's an interactive TV show she's in.
Yeah, excited about her tiny part in the script.
Yeah.
And wanting Montag to buy a 4th wall so the room is totally surrounded.
Her priorities are just staggering. After nearly dying, she's worried about a TV show script and redecorating.
Montag tries to engage, asking what the play is about. Her answer tells you everything.
Well, there are these people named Bob and Ruth and Helen. That's it. No plot, no substance, just names. And then back to the cost of the 4th wall.
It shows how shallow the entertainment is and how completely it dominates her thoughts, pushing out anything real or difficult. Montag's quiet. It's sure fun, just drips with irony.
He can't take it. He leaves, heads out into the rain.
And who does he find there?
Clarisse, again, enjoying the rain naturally.
The rain feels good. I love to walk in it. Another simple pleasure, totally alien to Mildred's world.
They do that thing with the dandelion. Rub it under your chin to see if you're in love.
And it doesn't show yellow for Montag. He gets defensive. Yes, I am.
But when he tries to think who he's in love with, he can't picture anyone's face. Says a lot, doesn't it?
It really does. The dandelion test, silly as it seems, cuts right to the truth of his emotional emptiness. Even his claimed love feels abstract, disconnected.
Clarisse feels bad for upsetting him. She mentions her psychiatrist thinks she's odd, like a regular onion with all her layers.
And she lists her crimes again. Hiking, watching birds, collecting butterflies, just thinking. Things that make her different.
She asks him to forgive her for upsetting him, and he does. He calls her peculiar, aggravating, but also easy to forgive. There's a real connection forming, despite everything.
Yeah, an unusual one, but genuine. He recognizes her authenticity, maybe, even if it shakes him up.
He thinks about the age difference. Clarisse is almost 17, Mildred is 30. But Clarisse seems older somehow.
Older in wisdom, maybe. More engaged with life, more self-aware than Mildred seems to be.
And then Clarisse asks him directly about his job. How did it start? She notices he's different from other firemen. He actually looks at her when she talks. He looks at the moon.
She senses the mismatch. She tells him, being a fireman, It just doesn't seem right for you somehow.
That hits him hard, right at the core of his identity.
You could feel his internal conflict. Bradbury writes that his body divided itself into a hotness and a coldness. It's the war inside him starting to rage.
The conditioned fireman versus the questioning man Clarisse seems to see.
Precisely. And as she leaves him there, he does something small but significant. He tilts his head back, lets the rain fall on his face.
A tiny act of opening up to the world. A little rebellion.
I think so. A moment of choosing sensation over numbness. A powerful image to end these first encounters on.
Okay, so let's try and wrap up this first dive into Fahrenheit 451. We've seen Montag's world profoundly shaken by these run-ins with Clarisse. She's planted these seeds of doubt about his job, his marriage, his own happiness.
And we've seen the stark, disturbing reality of his home life. Mildred's overdose, her complete detachment. It's a chilling picture of despair, masked by technology and routine.
Compared to Clarisse, who's all about curiosity, connection, asking questions, she seems to glimpse a Montag that even he doesn't know exists.
Yeah, what really stands out from these opening scenes is how Bradbury throws us into this world that feels, disturbingly possible. The suppression of thought, the manufactured happiness, it raises huge questions.
Like, what happens when someone in that kind of society starts to wake up? What's the cost of questioning everything?
And can you even find real happiness when critical thinking and genuine connection are basically outlawed?
It feels like just the very beginning, doesn't it? We're left wondering, how far will Montag go? Can he actually break free? And what lasting impact will Clarisse have?
It definitely leaves you wanting more. It's set up perfectly.
And maybe a thought for our listeners to take away. In our own world, with so much information, so much noise, how do we hold on to genuine curiosity? How do we make sure we're having real connections, not just superficial ones?
That's a great point. Are there masks we wear without even realizing it? What would it take for us to see things ourselves, the world with fresh eyes, like Montag is just beginning to? Plenty to think about there.